Okay. Good evening, everybody. This is the Falcon 9 SPHEREx and Punch mission launch coverage here. And yeah, we're about 16 minutes out, and there should be a Starlink? Question? Starlink is at 11:48. All right, cool. We got some time here. So SPHEREx and Punch. Excellent mission. This is a dual mission that's launching on a Falcon 9 out of Vandenberg. The booster flying today is 1088 on its third flight. It is an RTLS flight, so it's coming back to the landing zone. Here, let me pull up a shot here. There it is. The landing zone, you can't see it. It's actually, well, they don't have it lit up for whatever reason. It's right over there. Out at Vandenberg, Slick 4 is actually a twin pad launch complex, or at least it was. Consisting of two pads, Slick 4 West and Slick 4 East. Slick 4 East is this pad right here, and Slick 4 West is now landing zone 4. So this will do a return to launch site here. Gravioli, 44-month resub. Fisher Wizard with a 60-month resub. Dude, you got your worm logo. All right. Excellent. Yeah, the landing site is just down there. LZ4 is just down there. So this is carrying two payloads that are going to a sun-synchronous orbit. The first one is the SPHEREx mission, which is, I'm sorry, I have to look up the acronym. And so if you see me look up here, I'm looking at the acronym. It's a before I look up there, I know the mission. This is a heliophysics mission that NASA is using to calculate coronal mass ejecta. Okay? That's what SPHEREx stands for. The acronym is the Spectropherometer for the History of the Universe, Epoch of Reionization, and ISIS Explorer. Oh, wait, no, that one is the All-Sky Spectral Survey. Punch is the Solar Coronal Mass Ejecta mission. That's the secondary mission. So let me read it here. Over a 2-year planned mission, SPHEREx Observatory will gather data on 300 million galaxies along with 100 million stars in the Milky Way in order to explore the origins of the universe. All right, Punch is the heliophysics mission. It is a sun-synchronous satellite that's designed to observe mass ejecta out of the solar corona, and how basically how solar winds are made. Yeah, that's basically what that is. Will you be covering Starlink 12-16 on Friday? What? 12 rain check. It's at 7 o'clock. Do you have nap time? No. I went and hung around with Bree and we watched Mythic Quest. Oh. What is this about?
Relative to the sun. So as the Earth moves around the sun throughout the year, it's possible that we could be facing away from the sun, we could be facing towards the sun, and for this mission, we want to be facing towards the sun the entire time. So we choose a sun-synchronous orbit so that the twist of the orbit throughout the year
It's too late for a jellyfish, Dan, yeah.
Rotation around the sun. So no matter where or when, we're always going to be in this orientation.
Gotcha. So I should always see every part of this orbit.
Yes.
Why is that important for the SPHEREx and Punch missions?
Sure. For SPHEREx, you can't look at the spacecraft without seeing this large cone on top. And that's because this is a photon shield designed to protect the sensitive instrumentation inside. And what it's sensitive to is to the sun. So with the sun always in this direction, that means we know the sun's never on this side. So that's the safe side. So that's when SPHEREx can go ahead and operate in the orbit in this direction, do their celestial sky observations, always working on this backside of the orbit, the safe side. Punch, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. It wants to study the sun. It wants to see the solar wind, the solar weather emanating from the sun coming to Earth. So this is a perfect orbit for them as they go around, because they'll go ahead and get maximum viewing time of the sun.
You know, we've been talking about in the broadcast how Punch is actually made up of 4 satellites.
Right.
SPHEREx is 1. So basically you have 5 spacecraft.
Man card revoked for watching Mythic Quest with my wife?
How do you make sure that they don't
Bro, go get laid.
Right, sure. We do a couple things because
what's the matter with you?
Important. first thing is SPHEREx is going to go ahead and separate, pointing away from the sun, obviously, so they're going to separate in this direction. After SPHEREx separates, the Falcon's going to do a small altitude lowering maneuver with their attitude control thrusters, just to lower by a couple kilometers, so they're not exactly the same orbit. And then the punch spacecraft...
Just giving you a hard time. Oh, and that wasn't?
So the first 2 punch spacecraft are equal opposite along the velocity vector. The other 2 canted off that vector. So that puts them all in different directions.
Anyway, orbital physics.
One another.
Because SPHEREx doesn't want to be affected by the sun, can't
boy.
be affected by the sun. Were there
I
special
love a hard
considerations
time,
on the
giggity.
ascent?
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's
Again,
up,
it's all
Methane
about
Subcooler?
protecting the spacecraft.
James
and
Howard, how you
keeping the sun
doing?
out of this top half. So what we're going to do is, normally we launch out of Vandenberg directly into the orbit plane, but instead we're going to launch east of the orbit plane we want to be in. That puts us on the dark side, or in the shadow, during those early phases of the mission. So as we then come out of shadow, we'll coast down to the south pole. We'll circularize the orbit in the second burn and also do a plane change to put us in that sun-synchronous orbit plane we want to be in. So that keeps it safe for the spacecraft.
Interesting.
Guys, I know a lot of work and time went into, all these considerations that you
On-orbit
just
plane
walked us through. I
change
just
over
really
the South
appreciate you
Pole
guys
for
taking the
precise
time to explain it so
sun-synchronous
easily. So
orbital
thank you so much.
insertion
Got it.
to
Thank you.
minimize sunlight. So that was actually pretty cool. If
Thanks,
that
Megan.
if that looked like 2 dudes just dancing around with a hula hoop, saying words that you don't understand. Okay, so this mission has 2 satellites on it, SPHEREx and Punch. SPHEREx is looking out into the stars and Punch is looking at the sun, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to put them in a type of orbit that basically stays perpendicular to the sun the entire time. This type of orbit is what's called a sun-synchronous orbit, and it's going to use what's called precession. It's going to use Earth's non-uniform gravitational pull to basically make sure that the orbit is always perpendicular to the sun as it rotates around it. That was the hula hoop. That's what the hula hoop was for. Yeah, you use basically Earth's non-uniform gravity to perturb the orbit to keep a plane change happening that happens basically in synchronous with the sun. Sun-synchronous orbits are used for all types of things, most notably Earth observation. With a sun-synchronous orbit, you can perturb your orbit in such a way that it flies over the same place at the same time every time. So that's really, really good for spy satellites. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But in this particular case, it's also good if you want an observatory that's basically trying to look at the sun. You can put it into a type of sun-synchronous orbit that's perpendicular to the sun. Like I said, hence the hula hoop, right? And that perpendicular shot means that that payload is going to be basically in constant sunlight for the most part. The time in the sunlight will be a lot more. Is this mission to confirm if Jesus is green? Yes. Can you confirm that Jesus is green? Yes. Yeah. We're confirming that it's green. NASA can't afford any more 3D animators. The hula hoop was a better analogy anyway. You don't need 3D art. I'm a 3D artist, Forlorn. I can say that. Didn't you drive the Ford to Vandenberg? Yeah, actually, there's a light that's way down there. And the lights down at the very bottom right of the screen when they show the launch site is a train station. It's called Lompoc Surf. It's an Amtrak train station. And that's as close as you can get to the launch pads. I've had the 97 there, which is pretty cool. Is it ad time? We're inside of 10 minutes. I'll run ads so people don't get pre-rolls during the launch. Yeah, Cryonickel. Sun-synchronous orbits are really neat. That's not something that you can do in Kerbal Space Program. Sun-synchronous orbits rely on the Earth's non-uniform gravitational pull to change the longitude of ascending node of your orbit after every orbit. Basically, it's using Earth's kind of jello moldiness. Yes, the Earth is a big, gigantic iron nickel jello mold that's spinning really, really fast. And the center of mass...
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
I am Yak.
The hell is this? The hell, Jack? What's that about? What the frick, dude? What are you doing? Stop it. Don't do that again. I am Yak. Was that Jack? Yes. So, did I do it right? Yes. Yes.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Sawyer tier 2 88-month resub. So basically this, because the Earth is this big iron nickel molten jello mold, the center of gravity actually isn't in the direct center, like geographic center of the Earth. It's slightly offset, which is kind of why the Earth kind of twirls around like this. You can use that perturbing force to change the orbit, so you can stay synchronous to the sun. Whoever figured this out is someone that's way smarter than all of us, let's be real. But it still is super cool. That's where these payloads are going. They're going to sun synchronous, which, what does a sun synchronous orbit look like? 97 degrees inclined at about 500 kilometer altitude. So it's like, I don't know, 370 miles that way in a retrograde orbit, 97 degrees inclined. So it's a little bit off of polar. Hockey Tom, hey man, 36-month resub. Obsure, what's up, dude? 62 months, I'm still alive and haven't forgotten about you. Dude, it's good to see you. Minimum Infinity, 41-month resub. Jack, thank you for the 50 bucks. What launch number is this booster? This is 1088? 1088 on its third flight, a 56-day turnaround. So that's, yeah. It's a youngin'. Vassar, hopefully you can see this one in the sky. Yeah, hopefully. And guys, I know this heliocentric observation, sun synchronous orbit thing going on here. You know, if that doesn't float your boat, guys, listen up. Let me tell you something. We got a Starlink launch. We got Starlink 1221 happening 30 minutes after this launch. I know this SPHEREx punch mission might be a little boring. I got a Starlink mission for you after that. So, you know. This is an RTLS, David. Yes. 1088 is going to land at landing zone 4, which is like right over there. Are you staying up for it? Yeah, of course. I just took a break. Of course I'm staying up for it. Hey, Mr. Fluffy. Welcome to Mission Control. Your Go at Throttle Up. Thank you for the tier 1, dude. I appreciate you. Thank you. A sun-synchronous orbit, SSO, maintains the fixed angle relative to the sun, enabling satellites to pass over the same location at a consistent solar time each day, achieved by a precise inclination at between 96 and 98 degrees. Earth's oblateness causes orbital precession matching Earth's annual rotation. Nice. Annual rotation around the sun. SSO principles were first detailed by Harold Rosen in 1959. Okay, so Rocket Guy, Harold Rosen is in fact smarter than us. Yep. Yep, so I wasn't wrong. Thank you though. What's up, AP? How you doing? Friend of Monkeys, 31-month resub. Thank you.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Quick poll there. It sounds like we are go for launch. And you can see that transport erector moving away from the vehicle. It'll be just 2 degrees. And then we can start pressurizing the.
What is this patch, Baron?
Go at throttle up.
You know, that's a good patch. I like that patch. All right, Cryptic, tier 1, 2 months. Thank you very much.
Propellant is still loading on the vehicle.
You know what?
Fairings that will be retrieved.
That's a good patch, but I'll show you my favorite one. I found a new favorite.
NLM, everything is go. The spacecraft are on internal power. Both SPHEREx and Punch are healthy, and we are ready to proceed to launch tonight.
Stage 1 lock load is complete.
All right, and all that's left now
Discovery,
is to finish
go at
loading
throttle up.
liquid oxygen into the second stage. Again, we're targeting exactly 8, 10, 12 seconds for liftoff here from Vandenberg
This is my
Space
favorite
Force
patch.
Base. Again, a beautiful wide shot right there of the launch pad. We'll stay with you until we deploy both SPHEREx and Punch in a sun-synchronous orbit around Earth.
This is the best patch.
Discovery,
SPHEREx
go
will
at throttle up.
deploy first, starting at about 40 minutes after launch, and then Punch's 4 spacecraft will
That's my
deploy
favorite
about
patch.
10 minutes after
I've
that
recently
in 2
discovered
batches.
this.
Now, as always, we're hoping
Really,
for some
Loco?
great
Nice.
live views of all those deployments.
Okay, Strongback is retracted to 78
Next call-out we're
degrees here.
expecting, again, in less than 10 seconds.
On a
that
mission
stage
from
2
Dad.
LUX loading is complete.
Yep. They're not going to catch us. We're on a mission from Dad.
Oh, this is space.
So
I'm in space.
Gifted us up. Thank you. Cersei had a 34 in there, and Box of Pins had a 44 in there. Thanks, guys. Thank you for all the support. You guys are the best. All right, we got some launch action, man. Feels like I haven't covered a launch with you guys in a little while. It's that damn starship
Stage
thing.
2 lock load is complete.
And there's that call out. Stage 2 liquid oxygen loading is now complete, which means that propellant loading is now complete on Falcon 9. That means 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen are loaded on the vehicle. And
Dang, that
gas
woman could sing.
closeouts are
Holy crap.
in work now, and you can see some of those white clouds on your screen. That is us venting out the liquid oxygen lines from the transporter erector, and when that cold gas meets that warmer
39
ambient
ruin.
air, it turns into condensation.
Nothing is
almost
beyond
like
our
what you
reach.
see when
It's
you
freaking
get
killer
condensation
patch,
on a
dude.
cold
The
glass of
octopus.
water.
It's fantastic.
And we're coming up on T-minus 1 minute, where the internal flight computers will take over the launch countdown.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
It's a pretty good one, Baron.
And there we heard in startup. So next.
All right,
up will
here we
be
go.
Go
Falcon
from
9 is in
launch,
startup.
Director for SpaceX. This means that Falcon 9 will be ready for liftoff.
This guy sounds like
Let's,
Jamorian,
get
man.
ready to hear the go from SpaceX launch director for launch tonight.
LD is go for launch.
And there we hear the LD is go for launch. Targeting
do.
a T0
They go pretty damn
at
hard, dude.
8:10:12.
All right. Midge, you're just in time.
T-minus 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Range is go and weather is go.
20. Pad deluge system should be turning on here in the next 5 seconds. And they cut the camera.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8,
Sound suppression water system
7,
is active.
6, 5, 4,
Ignition.
3, 2,
And we got a liftoff. SPHEREx punch. Looking at the stars and the sun, which is also a star. One star is closer more than the others.
Map out our universe like never before and revolutionize space weather
Her
forecasting.
call is probably better than mine. It's looking at stars and the sun, which is also a star. It's star maxing. There we go. 30 seconds into the flight. Vehicle's doing the roll pitch program, pitch kick maneuver, establishing the proper flight azimuth for orbital insertion. Orbital. You're my favorite star. Hey!
Throttling down those engines, which
Do I get my man
vehicle
card
down
back?
just slightly in order to prepare.
Thank you, Methane.
In order to prepare.
Yeah, no, it's
passing
good.
through
I really
max
tried hard
Q,
that
and
time.
Is maximum aerodynamic pressure. That's the largest
Boosters
structural
and
load that the
igniting.
vehicle will see during ascent, so slowing the vehicle down.
Vehicle supersonic.
Slowing the vehicle
Nah,
down will
nah,
reduce
it's good
some of
SVO,
the
it's fine.
loads
I don't
that
need
it
that.
experiences through max Q. That's coming up here in
Thank
a
you,
few
Mason.
seconds.
Max Q.
Right
Max
on time.
dynamic
and
pressure.
now we have a few events that are coming up in quick succession, so we want to lay them out for
Succession.
you really quick. It's going to start with main engine cutoff. That's MECO,
Succession.
and that's when SpaceX
Succession
shuts
is
down
something
all of
different,
its
Megan.
9 engines on its first stage, which we are getting a great.
Hey, you guys do that to
view
me. I'm
of
going to do
now
it to them,
type
all right?
right there.
I'm just paying
Shortly
forward
after that,
generational
stage 1 and
commentators'
2
trauma,
will
okay?
separate from each other, and then seconds later, the first stage will flip back towards Earth, while the second stage will continue on, igniting its MVAC engine. Now that call out is second engine.
You got a
start
banana,
1, or
Mason. You don't need no
S1,
snack pack.
and this burn will last about 6 minutes. After that, the boost back burn on the first stage to put it back on a trajectory towards landing zone 4, which again is back here at Vandenberg,
Oh,
just
nice
about
shot.
1,400 feet from where Falcon launched from in the first place. Wow, look at that shot.
It's about
All
380 meters
Merlin
away.
engines firing right there, and we have such a great live shot of it.
Am I going to have one what, Ruin? One beer? Yes.
Main engine cut off.
Okay, stand by for stage separation.
Separation confirmed.
Upper stage ignition. Beautiful shot of Southern California there.
ignition.
We've got a good upper stage ignition. Note the first stage
Stage
is
1
turning
boost back
around
photo.
because it's an RTLS, a return to launch site mission. The first stage is going to fire its engine, pushing away, turning around and going
Coming
back
up
towards the
next,
landing
we
zone
will
where it
see
took
fairing
off from.
deploy, and that's when the two fairing
Oh,
will
that's
separate
sick.
and expose SPHEREx and Punch to the atmosphere of space. SpaceX will attempt, they will actually retrieve those fairings back downrange on Go Beyond once they get back to Earth.
Bearing separation should be happening here in the next 5 seconds.
Fairing separation confirmed.
There we hear fairing
Good.
deployment confirmed, and we are, what you see on the screen is the fairing separating and showing SPHEREx and Punch on their way to space.
Rocket guy, is that nozzle oscillating more than normal, or is it just the lighting?
Stage 1 boost back shutdown.
It looks okay.
There
It looks
you
like it has
see
some,
on your screen and heard that
like,
call
it's
out
not
that
wobbling
the
at the nozzle
boost
like
back
it's
burn
doing
is
this.
concluding on the first stage vehicle. That's the first of 3 burns that it needs to make its
It's
way
only a
back
model.
down
Shh,
to
shh.
Earth. This is the 3rd flight for today's first stage, which previously supported 2 other launches, NROL 126 in November of 2024 and Transporter 12 just in January of this year. And you may have noticed some soot on the vehicle prior to launch
It's that
during the
damn
entry burn, which
penguin
is
again.
coming up here in a couple minutes. Falcon 9 is decelerating by reigniting 3 of
Sure can't
the
see it.
9
You can
Merlin
see it?
M1D engines.
In Nevada? Right on,
This
man.
causes the vehicle to fly through
Hey,
Merlin's
Anti-Saint, what's
exhaust
up, dude?
gases, or the plume,
We got a lot of old
which
school
deposits
viewers in
a
here tonight.
layer
What's
of
up,
soot
guys?
on the
How you
vehicle's
doing?
surface,
Hope
and that
everything's
soot
good.
comes from the carbon-based fuel that Falcon 9 uses with each flight.
Say the
soot
line.
builds
It's
up
not
just a
time
little
yet.
bit more on the outside of the vehicle, giving Falcon 9 its distinctive reused look.
We're just so lucky to have these great views. Again, we have a split screen here on the
Discovery,
left side.
go
Looks like that's an IR
First
cam on
stage,
the
you
left
see those
side.
grid fins. They're guiding that first stage back to a
Hey, Nibarius,
trajectory
62 monthly
here
sub.
at Vandenberg Space Force Base. And then on the the right-hand side on your screen, you have the second stage, and you see that MVAC engine is still burning there. You know, Mick, LSP just works really closely with SpaceX to be able to fly
Rocket guy,
reused
look,
rockets
the
for NASA
plumbing.
missions.
Yeah, once again, it just could be
at
the lighting, but
LSP,
that
we
plumbing
look
is
at all
moving
the
around a
requirements
lot
for all
more
the
than I
missions that we have. And as I said
remember.
earlier, we selected SpaceX for the
Discovery,
SPHEREx
go
and
at
Punch
Neo.
mission. And looking at all those requirements, we ensure that even previously flown launch vehicles will meet those requirements, providing NASA with a dependable and a cost-effective ride to space for this, our first rideshare mission.
I like that guy. That
Yeah.
guy's a
If you're
good
just joining
commentator.
us, hello, we're in your bottom corner right there. I'm NASA's Megan Cruz, and with me is Mick Woltman with NASA, and also Jesse Anderson, a senior production manager at SpaceX. Now, Mick is with NASA's Launch Services Program, which is managing today's launch, so he's going to have a lot of interesting things to say to us to walk us through what we're seeing today.
Loco, MVAC
And of
is your
course, we have
favorite?
Jesse
Don't
from
know why, but
SpaceX.
it's pretty damn good
Really
reliability,
great
just
ride
saying.
so far.
But
We're
I
so lucky
shouldn't
to
say
have
that
you
right now.
guys. And you know, LSP
Hey, guys.
chose SpaceX.
Guys, it's time. It's time for supersonic retro propulsion. This is the point where Falcon 9 is going to do a burn to slow itself down, but that burn isn't just slowing it down now, is it? Is it? Haha, no, it's not. Falcon 9 uses its rocket engines as its heat shield. Yeah, I know. Not a lot of people know about that. Actually, I'd be amazed if somebody doesn't know what this is at this point. But you know what? I'm going to explain it anyway, just in case. All right. So Falcon 9 is going to fire its engines here, and if you look at the speed over there, it's going to slow down, right? Starting to slow down. But the other thing to take into account is that the engines are actually, particularly the exhaust gases coming out of the engines, are actually acting as a heat shield here. The gases are coming out of the engines, and they're basically, Falcon 9's flying through its own exhaust right there, right? And what's going on from that is that the gases are enveloping the booster in a cooler column, and it pushes the reentry heating away, so that doesn't happen as much. You do see some plasma propagation happening on the right side grid fin over there. It's just so, but it's only for a second. That reentry burn is the heat shield, which is super freaking cool to me. That's still never getting old. That's still really, really neat. Okay.
Saved.
Flight
Stage 2
termination system is
termination system is safe. That's what I
and
said.
It sounds like stage 1 is on its way back.
Grid
So
fins
that
now
science
steering
is
this
very
thing
important
back
us
to
here on
Lompoc.
Earth, so we're looking forward to getting these deployed this evening.
Your
We
magic.
have the landing burn
son.
coming
Got
up
'em.
here in a few seconds. That'll be a single engine burn and the last burn that the vehicle needs to land.
Yeah,
Stage one
rocket.
landing
Okay,
burn.
it's
There's that call out.
here's the landing burn.
has
Grid fins
begun.
doing the
Let's
work
watch as
here.
Falcon 9 touches down on landing zone 4E.
It's landing zone. Whatever. And right when it goes to land, NASA cut to a shot
One landing light deploy.
where there's a lens flare and we can't actually see it land. Heard the sonic booms though. All
And
right.
such an
Oh, little
awesome
fire.
view of
Oh, see it
Falcon
burped.
9
See, they burped a
touching
little bit.
down
One
on
landing confirmed.
on landing.
You see the fire, the little
zone
residual
4E,
fire?
confirming
That
the
happens.
third
Hopefully it
landing
doesn't cook a
for
landing
this
leg.
booster.
I don't think it will, but
Applause here on the factory room floor. It's a fun place to see. You know, it would have
did
been
they finally
cool to
find
see
proof
it in
of cheese on the
Vandenberg, but
moon?
this was pretty
They
cool.
may have.
Yeah, I was going to say I love the launches, but you know what? I love the way SpaceX makes landing look easy
Stage
too.
2, yes, that's safe.
It's still one of my
Uwas
favorite
Lab.
parts as many times as we've seen it.
Holy
And right
balls,
there on
that's a
the
big
screen,
raid.
We lost the signal for a second, but basically we're keeping an eye on the second stage's first burn. That's continuing, and that burn's going to...
Dude, guys, the more and more I think about it, I'm actually like a streamer boomer. Who's Uwas Lab? Who is that? Uwas, I don't know you. Should I know you? I feel like I should know you. We've come for the rockets. You came to the right place, but who's Uwas Lab? I don't know who you are. I feel like a dick. He's the mad scientist of Twitch. That's awesome, Maddie. That's awesome. Funny science, man? Good, I'm in. Wait. If I have like a heat shield tile and I took like a blowtorch to it, would Uwo find that
space.
cool?
I'm in space.
Like a heat shield tile? Like those things? I'm one of the only other science and tech streamers. We'll do it. My blowtorch is in the house. Damn it. Hold on. You're just going to have to take my word for it because the blowtorch is in the house. But, see the mark? So, Uwo, this is a thermal tile. I put my thumb on the back and took a blowtorch with gas, with propane, to the front with my thumb right there. Didn't burn my thumb. Like you could see the scorch mark right there. Pretty cool, huh? Uwos, I think we're gonna be friends. Is that fair? Is that cool? Yeah. Very, very cool test of thermodynamics. All right, cool. Hell yeah. All right, cool. I like things that shoot out fire and things that explode. So excellent, man. Alex Bead, what's up, man? 14-month resub. Kenwa gifted 5 subs. Thank you. Guys, give Uwo's Labs a follow. Do it. Do it. They seem like our kind of people. I made a tile like that on stream ages ago and put it on my hand while torching it. Didn't work as much as you'd like. Gonna have to get you the real thing, dude. This is the real deal. You can tell it's a part of Starship because it exploded. I love Starship. I'm the biggest fanboy. Sorry, I have to joke about it because it makes me unhappy that it blew up. Either way, Uwos, thanks for the raid, buddy. I do appreciate it. Guys, if you don't know me, I'm EJ. I've been doing science and technology stuff with video games on Twitch for like a decade. I'm amazed, Uwos. I do not know who you are, but now that's different. We've changed it. We changed it. We changed the timelines.
We're looking for water and other basic
That joke is goated. No, I actually just got back. I was down at Starbase for 2 weeks covering Starship stuff and upgrading systems for NSF. NASA Space Flight, if you guys know who that is. Starbase Live. Anyway. Should make your own rocket engine, the EJ-25. The EJ-25 is a Subaru engine, methane. Yeah, I was down there. I got about as close as me to you to a super heavy booster. The one that flew. The one that just flew. Which is pretty sweet. Anyway. Yeah, dude. I try to take STEM games and do dumb science stuff in STEM games. Or cool science stuff in STEM games. Hey! Magnacore! 2,500 bits. Thanks, guys. Seriously, if you're on my end, go give Uwos a follow. That's definitely we definitely roll in the same circles for sure. That's awesome, Ben. Hell yeah. There you go. Anything can be a rocket engine with enough oxygen. Hell yeah. Do you have any recommended games for solving puzzles with circuits? Stationeers might do you right. Stationeers are a pretty good one. The electricity in there is not exactly right, but there's electrical data and logic and power in that. Stationeers is probably a good start for somebody that's trying to figure out electrical engineering.
Where we can lock in this
Stormworks as well. Yeah, Stormworks would be good. Yeah. Sakata, I full disclosure, Stationeers is made by a buddy of mine that runs a company called Rocketworks. Stationeers made by Rocketworks. My buddy Dean runs that company. He's a good friend of mine. Stationeers is an excellent game. If you guys have ever played like Space Station 13, Stationeers is 3D Space Station 13. So there's electrical, there's logic, there's coding in it. There's volumetric atmospheric physics, plumbing. Like you start stranded on a planet and you got to build out a settlement, but it's all super realistic. Like if you pressurize your base with pure oxygen and then you try to light something on fire in your base will blow up. Yeah, it blows up. Yeah, pretty good. It's a pretty good game.
Interference and compatibility test. It's a really quiet room that absorbs all the sound, and we put the spacecraft in there.
Did this launch from Cape Canaveral? So what we just watched, guys, the mission is coasting right now. This is the SPHEREx and Punch missions. It's a double satellite mission. So there's 2 sats on board. That's one of them right there. That's the SPHEREx mission. This is a double rideshare mission that launched out of Vandenberg, so Southern California, Vandenberg Space Force Base. These 2 satellites are going to what's called a sun-synchronous orbit. Sun-synchronous orbit is a type of orbit that basically stays synchronous to the sun. I know that's a really stupid way of saying that. A better way to describe this would be that sun-synchronous orbits use Earth's gravitational precession to perturb the orbit in such a way that it stays in the same orbit relative to the sun. In this particular case, the orbit that SPHEREx and Punch is going in, like say if, like this is the orbit, right? And this is the orbital plane, right? And Earth is right here. The orbital plane stays perpendicular to the sun as it goes around. The idea is because the SPHEREx mission is a star mapping mission. It's a star mapping mission that's looking at stars away from the sun. And spoiler alert, just like if we stared into the sun, if SPHEREx is trying to map stars and stares into one star the whole time, it's really going to be hard to see the other stars behind it. So don't stare into the sun. That's your pro tip. Also, very cool. That is the MD-11 tanker, which is pretty cool. Hey, Cal Fire. All right. And then there's the Punch mission. The Punch mission is in the exact same orbit, but looking at the sun. The Punch mission is a mission that's basically trying to understand what solar wind is and exactly how it happens, which is super cool. So we got a double satellite mission here. It did just launch out of Vandenberg. What happens at T plus 5 minutes on the left can? Something flew away. That is solid nitrogen. That was a good question. 1221 scrubbed. Okay. Yeah. NASA is doing something with fires too, right? So Blitz, you asked what's going on. What was that? That's solid nitrogen. Falcon 9's first stage. Oh, come on now. Come on, X, the everything app. Falcon 9's first stage has nitrogen thrusters up at the top. Now, I'll use this kind of model of Super Heavy here, but same idea. After the rocket has done its ascent and turned around and boosted back, right? The majority of your center of your mass is down here. Now, Super Heavy is kind of a crazy example. But because this version of Super Heavy has 29 engines. All your mass is down here for the most part because all your engines are down here, right? There's not a lot of fuel and oxidizer left. So the point is that your center of gravity is way down here. Your thrusters, your nitrogen thrusters, are up here at the top. And those nitrogen thrusters are used to turn the stage and get it aligned for landing, right? Now, okay, what does that answer what that stuff is that came off the booster? Well, it's solid nitrogen. These thrusters are what's called cold gas nitrogen thrusters. They're just compressed nitrogen. They just shoot out nitrogen. Now, nitrogen is obviously a gas, right? Cold gas thruster, it's right in the name, right? When you outgas nitrogen into a vacuum, you're going to get a momentary depressurization because you're going from extremely high pressure gas to nothing, to no pressure gas very, very quickly. And in that momentary point of full decompression going into the vacuum, the gas freezes. You get solidification. And what you saw is a little nitrogen snowflake that actually came off the sides of the booster from the nozzles, from the nitrogen thrusters firing. Happens all the time, dude. We got rated 3 by Uo's Lab. Another STEM educator on Twitch that I didn't know about, but now I do, and I'm going to go follow. Where do you work? 5, I've been teaching people about rockets and STEM and engineering on Twitch as my full-time job since 2015. So where do I work? Right here. I'm working right now. Stop interrupting me. I'm just messing with you, dude. Congrats. Thanks, man. Yeah, actually, full disclosure, September 18th of this year is my 10-year anniversary of going full time. I've been partnered with Twitch for 9 years and 11 months. April would be my 10-year anniversary as a partner. I've been streaming since 2012. December 23rd, 2012 is when I decided to commit to streaming at least three times a week, because I thought streaming was cool and I liked it, and I did it for fun on the side. And oops, I've been coming to the same party for the last 10 years, and that is in no way sad. So what's the plan to celebrate? I don't know. It's a repost from... You found a clip from Uwo's? All right, hold on. All right, Uwo's, I'm gonna watch a clip. Don't get embarrassed. What are you doing, dude?
All right, hang on. Ah! Woo!
Did you make a pneumatic beer gun that serves you beer? Oh, yeah. We're friends now. I will drink to your success, my friend. Did we just become best friends? Yup. Want to go do karate in the garage? Yup. Okay. Anyway, we're covering the rocket launch. That's right. That's freaking awesome, dude.
Make sure it's healthy. We have people from Caltech who built the camera, which is going to be giving us our critical
For a sec,
data.
you know I understand what you're saying, right?
Here, as well as all the
yeah, I know I'm
from
crazy.
JPL,
Thank you.
We're bringing this together to make sure that it all works together.
And finally, can you tell us about a fun tradition we have here at JPL that involves some Lucky Peanuts?
That's a lot of nuts!
So, the Lucky Peanuts have been involved.
That'll be $8, baby! You want fries with that?
Very early days, and so we always think of them as a valuable tradition to make things go well.
What's the garage?
Now, we also actually have some Lucky Peanuts here with us, and I have seen Farah snack on them all the way here.
Definitely, we need a little bit more of that good luck for separation coming up.
I'll take us through separation. And
oh, the garage? Yeah, all right. All right, fine.
Anderson in Hawthorne with a look
all right, fine. I'll show the garage just for Uwo's. I'll be right back. I gotta turn it
over with NASA.
It's incredible having the opportunity to support NASA science missions to space, just like today's mission. In fact, last month was the 10th anniversary of the very first mission Falcon 9 and SpaceX launched for NASA, the Discover Space Weather mission, which launched in February of 2015, which you can see there on your screen. Since first taking flight in 2010, Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy have completed more than 450 launches and more than 380 reflights. As the first orbital-class rocket capable of reflight, Falcon 9 has helped drive down launch costs while increasing flight cadence, making space more accessible for all types of missions. Falcon is helping NASA build our future in space through contracts like the Commercial Lunar Payload Services Initiative and agreements like the one behind today's mission, the NASA Launch Services 2 contract. SpaceX is enabling access to space at a cost and cadence that no other vehicle flying today can match, unlocking a wide array of new government, commercial, and scientific opportunities in space. Before Falcon 9, launching to space was infrequent and cost much more than it does today. Lowering the cost of access to space is the foundation for humanity's next steps into the solar system. More launches accelerate development, enabling more small satellite and private research customers to launch their work to space, which in turn helps stimulate the wider space economy here on Earth. And serving both cargo and human spaceflight missions, Dragon has visited the International Space Station 45 times. In addition to NASA's crew missions, Falcon 9 and Dragon are advancing human spaceflight through private astronaut missions as well, including the Axiom missions, Inspiration 4, Polaris Dawn, and our upcoming From 2 mission. And missions like SpaceX's transport and bandwagon rideshare programs help make access to space even more affordable by sharing the cost of a single launch across multiple customers. All of this to say, reusability is the key innovation that is making space more accessible. Now, we are T plus 23 minutes into today's mission.
We're kind of in a coast. That's why I'm showing you guys this here. Look. Ready?
A few minutes, in about 15 minutes or so, we will be reigniting that second stage to continue the journey with SPHEREx and Punch. I'll send it back to Raquel.
It's not working.
Thank you, Jesse. Punch, along with students from the University of Colorado Boulder, are bringing ancient solar observations to life. Their project, Solar Stones, transforms historic petroglyphs into art. Let's take a look at how it's connecting the past to modern science.
Sitting next to me here are what we call our solar stones, and although we did not originally
take a vacation,
create
the garage comes take a dump. Yeah, they kind of did. Give me 1 second, dudes.
We replicated them from ancient petroglyphs down in Chaco Canyon National Park that were created around 1,000 years ago by the ancestral Pueblo people there. So this over here is the final version of our tablet. And it is a depiction of what we believe is a total solar eclipse around the year 1097. And the reason we believe that is because looking at this, it has all the telltale signs.
The NDI plugins aren't working,
It has
dudes.
an occultation in the center, where the moon would be blotting out the
Timmy
sun.
is 40 years
very
old?
Circular shape.
Interesting.
It has the
Anyway,
solar
I got a
corona
big garage that
along
I stream out of.
And up
We
here
do
on the
stuff
top
with cars
is
in
what is
there.
believed to be a reflection of Venus.
While these tablets would be really good for any learner, we collaborated with the Colorado School of the Blind so that we could make these tablets accessible to low vision learners.
I have a turbo encabulator
Typically
here.
a very visual field. You look up at the stars, you look at pictures of space, but if you can't see that, then you're pretty
current
much
project, Carm?
completely blocked out from being
59
able to
F100.
study this and be able to understand this part of history. And so this way we have an exhibit that people can learn from if they are sighted or not sighted.
It took a lot of time to figure out how much detail we needed, how deep the objects needed to be.
From the ancients
Oh,
to the
sick.
modern esoterica of spaceflight.
Is that John
Why is it
Malkovich?
important for Chaco Canyon to be the location for the Punch mission Solar Stones?
So we organized our outreach
could be John
program around ancient and modern sun watching.
Malkovich. Hello, my name is John Malkovich. You sound exactly like this.
Observing the sun around them to predict their environment and their future in much the same way that we do today. Though, of course, they were looking for things like agricultural planting times and things like that. But
about
that
them gains,
thread
dudes.
of human curiosity looking at the environment around us extends all the way to what we do at NASA today.
So speaking of what we do at NASA today, so Punch has a coronagraph that sort of
Yeah,
mimics
after the
solar
mission,
eclipse, right? And that
Tessa,
allows us
I'll try to
study
get
the
that
corona.
camera
Can you
working
explain
again,
how
okay?
that works?
Certainly. So normally we can't see the sun's corona or the much fainter solar wind that Punch will image. And the reason for that is the sky is too bright.
Bicep
the sun
girls.
is very bright in the sky. The sky is very bright. We normally can't see the corona unless the moon blocks the sun out. When we're standing in the shadow of the moon, we can see around the planetoid to see the solar corona extending out into space. But that doesn't stop. That extends all the way out and washes over the Earth. So Punch is in space. We can, instead of the moon, apply a very carefully crafted piece of metal to cast a shadow on our camera
That's
and
actually
allow us
super
to see
cool.
the corona 24/7 around the clock.
Wow. And we really appreciate your expertise. We have some Punch questions coming in for viewers. Do you mind if we answer a few right now?
Let's do it.
All right, let's see what we have here. We have Rosanelle Acosta on YouTube wants to know, how does the satellite improve
Noted
our
entropy.
ability to predict phenomena such as solar storms and their impact on Earth?
So Punch will allow us to forecast space weather much better than we can now. Right
My
now,
NDI plugins
when
aren't
we
working,
look
dudes,
at
and I'm
the
not
space
happy
near
about
the
it.
sun, the corona, and observe storms forming and leaving the sun. They streak out across the solar system at 1,000,000 miles an hour or more. And then we extrapolate all the way across the void to our planet. We don't have a way of measuring them in transit. So with Punch, we'll be able to track them in 3D as they make the entire journey to the Earth. So that's very similar to what we see if you saw the weather report earlier. We always look at those geosynchronous images of the Earth to track weather storms as they cross the face of the planet. We hope to do the same type of thing for space weather forecasting, where we can track the storms rather than just taking samples here and there.
Well, Farah loves weather forecasting now, so she'll be tuning in for that. Kelly on Instagram wants to know, why is Punch a constellation of satellites?
So Punch is a constellation because we want to look out from the sun in all directions, up to 45 degrees from the star.
I don't know what's
That's a
going wrong in all
90-degree
systems. It's
field
very
of view.
strange.
It would go from the horizon to the zenith. We had to get our spacecraft close to the ground stations because we wanted to radio a lot of data back to the Earth. That meant there was an enormous planet in the way. So we had to make the instrument as large as the planet to look out in all directions. The only way to do that was to mount it on 4 spacecraft.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool.
All right, Craig, thank you so much for your expertise. We really appreciate it. And we will be taking more questions later on the broadcast, so keep them coming using the hashtag AskNASA. And as we approach SPHEREx spacecraft separation, Farah, let's check back in with Megan, Mick, and Jesse.
Welcome back to SpaceX in Hawthorne, California. Megan, Mick, and I are just outside of Mission Control, where teams continue to monitor
Coming up on
Falcon 9's
separation,
second
guys.
stage.
And we have a view here that we're looking at, and we're seeing that stage 2 is currently coasting near Antarctica right now. So where it needs to be, we are loving the trajectory and seeing the data that we're getting back. The Falcon 9.
They're going to
lifted
do
off
an
of
on-orbit
Vandenberg
plane
Space Force
change here.
Base, about 31 minutes ago.
Oh,
It's carrying
boy.
2 NASA science missions, SPHEREx and Punch, and both are headed to a sun-synchronous orbit around 650 kilometers above the Earth.
Yeah, and what does that mean for us? That means that we will be passing
Separation's
over the same
happening
part of
right
the
here.
Earth at roughly the same local solar time each day.
You got a
It
little
means
bit of
that the
time, dude.
lighting conditions are consistent for observations, which is important to SPHEREx and Punch. For SPHEREx, that provides a consistent illumination condition, reducing background noise from the varying sun angles. And for Punch, it keeps them in a fixed sun-Earth viewing geometry, crucial for tracking the solar wind's continuous evolution. In short, this orbit allows both missions to maximize their scientific observations with minimal interference from the Earth's shadow.
Yeah, basically, SPHEREx likes the sun and Punch does not like the sun. So they're really
That's another
riding
way to
that.
say it.
So they're really riding that day-night line, and it's just perfect. You know, that's why again we're flying these 2 missions together.
Yeah, Meat
so,
Snack, I don't know. I'll
again,
figure
we're
it
gonna
out.
gather
OBS
some
just
really,
had an
really
update
great
too, so
science. SPHEREx is going to map our
probably
entire
just not
universe
updated
to
the
gather
same
data
versions
on
across the
billions of
computers.
stars and galaxies, and then Punch is going to
Also,
study our sun to really better
Malkovich.
forecast space weather and how it affects us.
And the second stage with SPHEREx and Punch will coast for another about 7 more minutes before we have another ignition of the MVAC engine. And then following that, we will deploy SPHEREx first and then Punch's 4 spacecraft. As always, we're planning to have live views of each of those deployments starting at T plus 40 minutes.
Yes, we can't wait. So we'll see you back here soon. For now, let's send it back to the hostess at Vandenberg Space Force Base with Raquel and Farah.
Thank you so much. Turning our attention back to SPHEREx, the Space Telescope is gearing up to map the entire sky like never before. With special photon shields and an ultra-cool design, here's how it will spot hidden cosmic secrets in infrared light.
This is SPHEREx, NASA's cosmic mapmaker. It will scan the entire sky, charting the positions of hundreds of
billions of stuff. Sorry.
But why does it look like my dog after his last visit to the vet?
These concentric cones help keep SPHEREx cool and shielded from nearby bright objects. Anyway, continue.
Ah, of course. SPHEREx has 3 cones, which are called photon shields. They block light and heat from the sun and the Earth. That's a big deal because without those shields, the telescope's detectors would be blinded. But SPHEREx also needs to be cold because it detects infrared light, or wavelengths slightly longer than what the human eye can see. Infrared is emitted by warm objects on Earth and out in the universe. It's
The
also emitted by
universe.
the telescope. Keeping it cold reduces the infrared glow, which lets SPHEREx see faint objects that are really
Oh,
far away.
all systems, you're right. The satellite has a low taper
These aren't cones
going.
of shame, they're SPHEREx's cones of fame. Here you can see one of SPHEREx's 3 cones being assembled. They sit atop this shiny jewel of a structure called a V-groove radiator. The mirrored surface directs heat out into space, cooling the telescope and the infrared detectors.
Cooling them to minus 350
David, the
degrees
Starlink launch
Fahrenheit.
scrubbed, I'm pretty sure.
That is cold.
SPHEREx can help us study everything from what happened a few seconds after the Big Bang to where water comes from in planetary systems. That's why its full name is Spectrophotometer for History of the Universe, Epoch of Reionization, and ICES Explorer.
And I'm sorry, could you say that one more time?
You can just keep calling it SPHEREx.
And so I will. The V-groove radiator and the
Can we
photon
call it, like,
shields
Bill or something?
surround the heart of SPHEREx, the telescope. It's a feat of modern engineering, designed with incredible precision. And it looks tilted?
That's not a mistake. That tilt helps it see the entire sky while under the protection of the photon shield. Do you mind if I get back to work?
Sure, let's wrap this up. The cone of fame, the gorgeous jewel, the tilted telescope. These are all part of NASA's next cosmic mapmaker. SPHEREx.
It's
Passive cooling is really
cringy
incredible.
enough
Absolutely.
for me to
And
like actually like
SPHEREx
find it
instrument
funny.
scientist Phil Korngut joins us to talk about that cooling process. Thanks for being here, Phil.
Yeah, thanks. So excited.
Hagrid is alive.
So indeed, yes, SPHEREx uses a totally passive cooling process. That means we have no refrigerators, we have no liquid cryogens or anything like that, and we use actually the coldness of deep, dark space to bring the temperature of our instrument down. And to show you how that works, we made a little demo here. This is a little thermal model of SPHEREx, and you can see it's got its 3, iconic photon shields. And then inside there, you can see that we've got a model of the telescope. And
You're a
focal
wizard,
plane
SPHEREx.
radiator. So back in Pasadena, we took this thing to do a little.
Is that a brake
demonstration to
rotor?
show
That's a
you how
brake
that might
rotor.
work. So we put it up on the roof of the Cahill Building for Astrophysics, which is actually the building that we assembled the SPHEREx instrument in. And we put it up there with a great view of the night sky. So there's thermal engineer Brad Moore and I getting everything set up. And the point is that using that night sky, even here on Earth, we can cool it down. So here in this time lapse, as we left it out there overnight, you can see why this is harder on the Earth. Those clouds up there, the atmosphere is actually pretty dark in the infrared. Not to mention that air makes conductive heating between the Earth and the radiator. And you see also
that's
there, we
convection,
left a camera in the
not
foreground.
conduction?
That's actually an infrared camera, so you can see what's happening with the heat glowing off of the telescope inside. So you can see here, as we look in the infrared, there's a lot of light coming off of that telescope because it's warm. And as the
Cool.
time lapse goes on, you see that light coming down, that glow that's coming off the infrared as it dumps out to deep space. If you look to the outside
I
of
like this guy.
there's a glow around the photon shields, and that's from the Earth coming up. And so inside, it looks dark because it's reflecting the cold sky from the photon shields. And as we go on, you can see that light comes down, and our telescope is getting cooler. So the next morning, we come in and see what happened to our experiment. There's Brad and I coming in. You see the glow from our hot coffee. This is an infrared video, so you see all the light that's actually
love
glowing
this.
off of
This is
that
killer.
temperature. here we are looking in there to see what we found, and that's what it looks like. That radiator was nice and frosty. You can see when I swipe my finger across it, there's all that dew on there, and that's because we cool down using passive cooling below the dew point, and we condensed water, and we made a little frost on the outside.
All
and,
right.
yeah, we did some passive cooling on Earth.
Right on.
Well, Phil, that's actually what my car looked like this morning with the windshield wipers filled with dew.
That's right, and that's actually passive cooling. And I bet you, if you looked at where your car was parked, it's actually had a great view of the sky. And if you maybe parked under, you know, like a garage lid or a tree or something, you wouldn't have that because it didn't get to passively cool.
And so Spherex is going to use that passive cooling to detect those super faint galaxies, right?
That's
Yo,
right, yeah, and like
flash
so what you saw
twist.
in that
You
video
seeing
was
this, dude?
Infrared.
This guy's
Orange
cool.
Things are actually glowing like crazy.
Hell
So
yeah.
We're trying to detect, you know, light that comes from tiny blips of these galaxies all the way across on the other side of the universe. So in order to get there,
Yeah, we don't want to
we
call
have
it that,
cool
Baron.
down the foreground because all that light is just swamping us, and we've got to get the light from the telescope glowing down so we can see those tiny blips across the universe.
Well, Phil,
SpaceX
thank you
got
so much for
infrared
joining us.
cameras,
now,
dude.
Let's head back to the team in Hawthorne, California for a status update.
All right, we're now 39 minutes into the
Chill
mission,
down.
and coming up is what's called SES-2.
So what they're doing is they're flowing cold propellants into the motor, but not firing it, and they go out these dump lines on the sides. Dump. So what you see is, for the same reason that we're seeing solid nitrogen happen, right? You see solid oxygen happen on these vent lines because you're outgassing oxygen into a vacuum.
You can see that
Engine
there
has
on your
relit.
screen. Now this is about a 50-second burn for this burn. And this extra burn, this is a single Merlin vacuum engine, has about 220,500 pounds of thrust.
America.
And burning just for about 50 seconds doesn't seem like much, but it's just enough to take the second stage with the payloads attached to its targeted drop-off orbit.
Interesting. It's not a full coplanar anti-normal burn because they're increasing in velocity.
This is space. I'm in space.
I see the
SPHEREx
wobble.
deployment, an exciting
Hey,
time.
man.
I know Farah is looking forward to that one. So are we, but things continue to look good.
And there you can see on your screen that the MVAC engine is now shutting down.
Nominal orbit insertion.
Got a good call for NOI.
And you know, the second burn is actually a lot earlier
Oh,
than
what a
other
shot.
missions because, again, SPHEREx has to
Oh.
avoid the sun even on its way up to that sun-synchronous orbit.
Oh.
Yeah, as Mark Hammonds mentioned earlier, the earlier second burn is a plane.
So check this out, guys. Look at how the Earth is moving relative to this thing. Falcon 9 is going in this direction, and it's actually perpendicular to its prograde velocity. So it's pointed that way, and it's going that way. You do that to change the tilt of your orbit. And if you're in a, polar orbit, you'd use it to change your longitude of ascending node at the poles. If that made no sense, Falcon 9 is trying to take a big right-hand turn in space to put the satellite in the right orbit that it needs to. It needs to turn right at Albuquerque or Antarctica. That's what it's doing. What is a sun-synchronous orbit? A sun-synchronous orbit is a type of highly inclined retrograde orbit where the satellite uses Earth's orbital precession to change its orbit to make sure it flies over the same position at the same time every day. Yeah. Because Earth is a non-uniform sphere and it's kind of a big wobbly thing that doesn't necessarily have its center of gravity at its geometric center, right? It kind of weeble wobbles around, right? And that weeble wobbling force can perturb satellites because gravitational pull on one side of the Earth is slightly more than it is on another side, right? So if you have a satellite that's orbiting around the Earth like this and the Earth's doing its weeble wobble like this, it's going to change its orbit. The orbit is going to move. So it'll be like this, and then it'll be like this, and then it'll be like this, and it'll be like this, and then it'll be like this, and then it'll turn a little bit every time. SPHEREx deploy right there.
Farah is at the hostess right now, jumping up and down.
Killer.
I'm sure.
Yeah, again, great live views. It's always nice to see, and again, this
They
is
are on
a-
the
it's a great
anti-normal, Dan.
opportunity
Yes,
for
exactly.
the spacecraft team to see it happen in real time.
Great shot.
So, now the spacecraft has a 3-minute pass over a ground station in Antarctica. You might have heard it mentioned a couple of times in the broadcast. Troll is what that ground station is called.
Don't
and
feed the
team hopes
trolls.
to confirm an initial signal with the spacecraft.
Yeah, that initial signal will primarily be gathering engineering data for its health and status at this time. And once they confirm that and that it's be ready to be operational, SPHEREx will then transition into its science phase, starting with
Soon,
calibration and
username.
test observations over the next few days. and
We're almost
weeks
at that point.
that
Give it
Farah
another
had
10
mentioned,
years.
And another pass
So just
over
live for
another
10
ground
more
station
years.
in Norway at about T++ 80 minutes. So about 40 minutes from now.
First
they
stage
will
landed,
start
619,
working on
yep.
that and confirm that everything looks great on SPHEREx. So we're just waiting to hear that initial engineering data check from on AOS for SPHEREx, where they start receiving that engineering data just to make sure everything is good there at Troll.
Pendelope, yeah, on this mission
Those
from
iconic
Sun Synchronous,
cones
it'll
around the
do a
spacecraft.
deorbit
Again,
burnout
you
over the
can still make
Pacific.
it out as it gets farther and farther from the second stage. But actually, let's take a look inside the Mission Directors Center. So that is one
Nice,
of the
Phaedra.
rooms that we have at Vandenberg Space Force Base. And sitting inside there, we have NASA personnel, but we also have SPHEREx and
IM
Punch
needs to make a Weeble
personnel.
Wobble lander.
Actually,
Damn.
if you look at the front row of your screen, directly to the right of
Starlink scrubbed
IO,
out.
that is Jamie Bach, and he's
MSF.
the principal investigator for SPHEREx. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to be looking at him for a reaction.
I don't know. I'm going to be looking at that whole room. I think they're going to be just as excited as
He
everybody.
waved. I think he heard us. You're watching. We're watching him. He's watching us.
Yeah, we're waiting for that initial AOS for that engineering checkout, and that team in the Mission Director Center there at 836 at Vandenberg Space Force Base, I know is excited to see this deployment also.
Yeah, and he's in that first.
Oh,
row,
yes,
he's
Weeble
joined
Wobble
by,
technology is
some
it's
more,
an industry term.
spacecraft team members, as well as from some leadership at JPL. So really glad to just see the whole team there, waiting for again this important milestone. Again, we have this 5.
They're waiting for
minute- or this
acquisition of
3
signal.
minutes
That's why
pass
everybody
with
there
this
looks
ground station. So anywhere in this
weird.
time, if we're able to get a hi, hello, quick
Oh.
acquisition of signal, that would be a great sign for the team. And then those subsequent passes over different ground stations, again, Norway as well as Antarctica, or no, Alaska, Fairbanks, Alaska, will give them an opportunity to get even more information and more data from the spacecraft.
Beautiful views from second stage there. Second stage performed very well tonight. Still continuing its mission with that second burn. We still
They're
have Punch on
passivating the
board,
engine right now.
and things looking great.
That's what that
there
big
as,
snowball
second
that is
stage continues
that's
to
accumulating
coast.
on the side of the
Yeah,
vehicle.
Mick, some of my favorite things about launch is really the views from space that you don't get to see from down here, but we
Yep.
get to see it from the
And it came off.
spacecraft out.
Solid
in space
oxygen,
during
if
these
you're wondering.
missions, and these were some incredible views tonight.
Yeah, it really puts into perspective what we're doing here. We are sending spacecraft that do incredible
It's
science
because they're
out,
safing the engine.
into an orbit around the Earth, and all the data that's collected. This is science that
It's
touches
not a
all
lot,
different kinds
Joey.
of
It's just
disciplines.
enough to
Specifically
really
for
just move it a
SPHEREx,
little
right?
bit.
It's again just being able to see and map our universe in a way that we've never done it before. It's going to really answer some of astrophysics' biggest questions, and then for Punch, studying our sun and understanding how it can affect us in terms of space weather, comms going down, telecommunications, satellites, things like that, all affected by space weather. So
The
Punch is
atmosphere
really gonna help us
forlorn.
understand.
The atmosphere forlorn really has. You really get a big atmospheric fall off above 500 kilometers. The ISS is at 415. 600 above 600 kilometers is really the point where you're not really going to worry about the atmospheric perturbations, meaning decaying orbits. Yeah, it really starts to fall off between 500 and 600. Above 600, you're staying up there for a while. All right, Dino.
Thank you so much, Megan, Mick, and Jesse. And Farah, what is next for SPHEREx?
So of course we would have liked to hear it from it right now, but this, it's a very short pass as you heard, and so the SPHEREx is continuing to orbit around the Earth. It's getting itself into the right configuration. It's going to go over another ground station called Svalbard up in Norway in about 40 minutes, so we'll hopefully hear from it then. And so we'll be anxiously waiting to hear from her and to tell us that she's doing well in space.
Well, thank you so much for that update, Farah. And joining us now is project scientist Olivier Doré. Olivier, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
So Olivier, tell us, SPHEREx is taking a 3D map of the universe, right? How and why is it doing that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thanks, Farah. And this question is really at the...
What is the altitude of the South American anomaly? The South Atlantic anomaly? Oh, good question. It's I want to listen to Olivier's response.
You see all kind of small...
All altitudes, but not all altitudes, dude. Is the answer to that.
Some kind of
it goes up pretty high.
Spider web. So this turned out to be a really good visualization or representation of how galaxies are distributed throughout the universe. And in fact, we call that the cosmic web. So what SPHEREx wants to do is make a three-dimensional map of the cosmic web over the whole sky. And the reason we want to do that is simply the fact that making this map of the cosmic web over the whole sky.
How can anyone trust this guy? He builds cars in his garage instead of space shuttles. Bro really thinks bolting on a turbo is the same as achieving orbit. Until I see a launch pad and a countdown, I'm calling him out.
Mapping the whole sky in 102 colors. And so why do you want to use colors? It's very simple. So if you look at the sky, you take a picture, you will see exactly where
I got your money, fool.
Are. But if you want to know how far they are from you, if you really want to measure the third dimension, you need to use a color information. By using colors, you can really tell how far.
Bolt this turbo to your face.
You can really tell the distance between you and a galaxy, and so you can construct. If you map
that's
the
a friend
sky
of mine.
With these 102 colors, you can really construct.
That was a New England
sky,
greeting for the uninitiated.
Map of the cosmic web, and that's really what we want to do.
And how does SPHEREx use color when mapping?
Right. So we will use to make this map. We will use what we would like to use.
That was a northeast greeting. Just look at the picture. Just look at the damn picture, so will you?
You can think when you use rainbow glasses, what's very interesting about it is that the color you see slightly is different depending on exactly where you look at. And so you could say that SPHEREx will use some kind of astronomical grade rainbow glasses that we put in front of our detectors. And so it means that each
say hello to your mother for me, okay?
Dude,
chatter.
Slightly different color.
Your chatter, Baron, what's that like? Just sitting over there on a text box? What's that like? Say hello to your mother for me, okay?
We can really reconstruct all sky map in 102 colors. And that's really what we will do, how we will get this 102 colors that we need to make this map, this three-dimensional map of the cosmic web.
Dude.
Great. Thank you so much for your insight, Olivier.
My pleasure.
My pleasure.
We are actually now heading back to Hawthorne, California for an update.
Thanks, Raquel. We are just about a minute away from SPHEREx coming up here. We're T plus 51 minutes into NASA's SPHEREx and Punch missions from Vandenberg Space Force Base. About 9 minutes ago, we watched SPHEREx separate from the Falcon 9's second stage, and the SPHEREx team then confirmed. And we did not confirm acquisition of signal just yet. We will confirm that at the next opportunity.
But now it's Punch's turn.
Yeah.
So they're going to deploy in 2 batches, right? So the first 2 are going to deploy around T plus 52 minutes and 16 seconds. So that's about 45 seconds from now. And then the other at T plus 53:07. Again, some great views that we're seeing here from the second stage, looking down on Earth.
Sweet! Dude, sweet!
4 Punch spacecraft.
That was a great thread, Jordan. Did you read that thread? Very informative.
You talked about those 4 Punch spacecraft deploying in 2 sets. One of the reasons we are doing that is to separate the sets so that we can get them started on their way. and make sure they're heading in the right directions and avoid the second stage and anything else that might be in the path. So keeping punch to make sure everything is successful. Deploy one set and deploy.
Bro, this planet's pretty sweet.
A few seconds later.
Yeah, this planet's pretty cool.
That will help
cool.
everything with deployment tonight and call this mission to an end. Getting
there it
Punch on
goes.
its way
Well,
for its science.
Two, separation confirmed.
So they have 4 of them. They just separated 2, and now they're going to separate the other 2. The other one is is right here, and then the other one that's the identical is on the other side.
From the Falcon 9 second stage, that is the first of 2.
I think Black Rack did this one, Ruin. Yeah, I think you're right.
Coming up in just about
I think
30
you're right.
or so.
Yeah, I'll tell you, seeing that.
Here, I'm gonna get out of the way so you guys can see it. See the satellite over there?
Separate those 2 satellites separating, and then the next 2 coming up, getting that constellation out there so Punch can do their science. That's very important.
Dude, look at the freaking clouds.
Yeah, and we are deploying these in a bit
Oh
of a
my
different
word.
orientation from SPHEREx. We did see SPHEREx drift away very slowly from the second stage.
Hey, bye-bye.
Payloads are going in a different direction, so...
Wi-Fi 1 and 3, separation confirmed.
Wussy.
Look at that. That is amazing. That is just amazing.
Yeah, the second batch right there. It is really cool to see. And again, I just know that the spacecraft teams really appreciate this opportunity to see this happen in real time. So what an incredible, incredible view. All right, so the Punch team is going to have to wait a bit longer to confirm their acquisition of signal for both
I'd have to see the track weather guy. I'm not really sure where we are. I can't pick out any land masses here.
When they expect to be able to confirm signals?
Yeah, the Punch team will have to wait about 30 minutes, Megan, to acquire signal from one of the spacecraft. Now that we have separated them successfully and things look great, this will help to confirm the signal for all 4.
What,
or they
Baron?
hope to confirm the signal to all 4 satellites within an hour after separation today. So a little bit more time for the Punch team to verify everything is good, but it was awesome to see separation tonight and Punch on its way.
Yeah, it's again
Oh,
important.
you're cleaning tanks,
that
Baron?
again,
That's cool. What's up, tank cleaning team?
Acquire signal with
I got a
each of
turbo.
those spacecraft, but again, they're hoping to acquire
I
signal.
got a turbo.
With all of those four spacecraft, that's a
It
tongue
makes
twister
noises.
within an hour from now, which is when we just separated. So we will not be able
Sorry,
to
man,
cover
I'm
that
nerding the
live
hell
for
out.
you
Look at
guys,
those
but
freaking
we will
clouds.
be updating our social media.
I don't know,
and
Shaw.
You can also check out blogs.nasa.gov/punch.
Yeah, and these views have been so incredible. It has been such an exciting mission so far. And this really is just the beginning of the journey for SPHEREx and for Punch. I know we've been live for about 55 minutes with this mission, but this is the beginning of the journey, of a very long journey for both missions.
Both spacecraft doing some great science, as we've heard throughout the show, with the mapping of our universe.
I like
and the
this.
solar
I
wind
like
studies
right
and
at the
all.
Terminator.
And I gotta tell you,
Look
looking
at the
this
lighting
shots on
that
the
you get.
screen, I'm kind of thankful to Farah and the team for the sun avoidance requirement, because we are seeing some great
Yes,
views
619,
of
yep.
Earth from our second stage here, and as we have deployed these satellites. It's just amazing to see these live views from space, as you mentioned earlier, Jesse.
Yeah, and like you just mentioned, sometimes we get a lot of sun glare into the camera on the second stage vehicle, but because we are avoiding the sun, just like you said, we have some epic views of Earth there.
Oh, good.
They look so clear. It's incredible.
That makes me really happy. Look at that picture. Oh my goodness. I'm nerding out,
from
chat.
so far away from Earth. It is just incredible.
Yeah. And again, if you're just joining us, you're listening to me, Megan Cruz, and this is Jesse from SpaceX, who was just chatting, and then the only guy on here, so you know when he's talking, that's Mick Wolman, also from NASA. And the three of us are at Hawthorne, and we're commentating through some of the incredible views that we're seeing from space right now. You know, a couple of minutes ago, we saw the SPHEREx spacecraft deploy from the second stage, and then a few minutes after that, we saw in 2 batches all 4 Punch spacecraft also deploy. So it's been really great.
Well, Baron, do it right, or it's going to blow up. How about that?
With the public, but for now, let's send it back to.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. Would you rather it blow up?
Well, thank you for that update.
Would you
Megan.
rather it Flight 8 itself?
So tonight, NASA's Launch Services Program
Yeah,
has successfully
that's what I thought.
launched
How about you do
SPHEREx
the
and
job
Punch.
right?
Joining
Boom.
us now is tonight's Assistant Launch Manager for NASA's Launch Services Program, Tim Dunn. Tim another
Dunn?
successful launch
Oh.
for NASA's Launch Services
Never mind.
Program. How are you feeling in this moment?
Well, Raquel, I'm feeling incredibly excited. Hopefully I'm representative of the team. I just left a building on North Vandenberg, the SpaceX Launch and Landing Center, where there was incredible positive energy after launch. And then I was on the phone with our NASA launch manager, Denton Gibson, on the ride down here. And we got spacecraft SEP of SPHEREx. And I could hear in the background the cheering and the yelling in that room.
Nice,
and I know it
Baron.
was replicated in the rooms here. at
Tim
Building
Dunn, the
836
launch services
with
program
all of the
provider,
team
dude.
present here at
So,
Vandenberg.
you guys are asking me what shots do I like? Do I like day shots or night shots of Earth? That's the shot that I like on the Terminator line. So what's the Terminator line? That's basically where sunset is, right? That would be sunset down here on the surface. The Terminator line is when your clouds, all the clouds in all of the atmosphere gets lit from the side. So you have this really, you got the clouds cast shadows, and you get this very defined picture. That, though, like that. Oh, that's freaking great, dude. That's my favorite right there. Look at that picture, dude. Unbelievable.
Throughout the year, we have what we call our Vader missions. There are Class D, more risk-tolerant missions, maybe smaller spacecraft.
See,
But
look at the
first one up will be
definition
this
that you're
summer,
getting.
where we're
Oh,
launching a
it's so
spacecraft
beautiful, man.
To Mars,
Like,
the Escapade mission.
straight nerding out,
that would
dude.
go
That is
on,
so cool.
The New Glenn rocket, which is
Oh, I
the
gotta
Orbital
see
2
that. I
rocket
gotta see that
successfully
someday.
Launched in January of this year. So looking forward to that one. And then we have a Tracers
Nice,
mission
Baron.
just ahead of that in the May timeframe.
It was
we flew
cryo.
from Vandenberg here.
I'm more a
And
fan
then
of
we
I'm
finish
more a
up
fan of
in,
Terminator
the
Line 2.
September, October
It's a pretty good
timeframe
sequel. Yep.
With 2 missions that look like they're going to ride together. The Pandora mission riding with the
Yeah, those are
TC2
good ones,
mission.
man.
So we've got across the board, big spacecraft, small spacecraft, both coasts, just a lot of excitement in Launch Services Program in 2025.
I know people that work at LSP.
Yes, very busy, but that's a good thing.
Would you pay to see it?
Yes. And
All right,
so,
Tim,
Yeah.
thank you so much for that.
Never
We
gonna be
actually
able
have
to
an
afford it,
acquisition
though,
signal
sewer rat.
update
Maybe.
From the team at Hawthorne.
In the future.
Well, we can.
There was a launch over the weekend, Flykin, yes. You gonna watch
All
F1?
right, everyone, we are
Yeah,
now
maybe.
59 minutes, 51 seconds from liftoff. Again, we watched the Falcon 9 rocket lift off with 2 NASA missions. We had SPHEREx.
It's
as
within
well as
6
Punch.
hours, Bill, of
We
launch.
did watch,
Depends.
all 5 spacecraft deploy.
Fram is gonna the Fram 2
the
mission's
Falcon
gonna be
9
amazing,
second
dude,
stage.
no
We had some
doubt.
great views of those again live. And then we are currently waiting on AOS for all 5 spacecraft. Mick, talk to us about the opportunities. You know, the spacecraft team for SPHEREx was hoping that we would be able to confirm a signal within the first couple of minutes after separation, but we did also know that's a short 3-minute pass. It's this next one that's a longer opportunity where they hope to really acquire that signal.
Yeah, their next opportunity will be over the Fairbanks ground station, and they'll be looking for checking out SPHEREx and making sure things are healthy.
I don't think so,
looking
username,
good
no.
for SPHEREx as they get into getting ready for conditioning for science mission and all. But again, we did separate them very well.
You can see
into
one
a
of the
proper
satellites
orbit.
right
Things
there.
looking good. Punch separated, and we're about 20 minutes, I think, from getting signal for the Punch team, and they'll start off receiving signal for 1, and then in about an hour get signal for all 4 to verify that Punch is good. And so the teams will be on console monitoring that and looking for that. And I'm sure that we will hear about that through our social media stuff, through NASA and that. But I will say tonight's launch was amazing. Seeing the separation of all 5 spacecraft was great. And, you know, this has been just an absolute great day to see this launch with everything that we've gone through for this mission.
Yeah, so again, waiting for those opportunities to acquire signal from all of the spacecraft. Again, we are looking at T plus around 80 minutes for the SPHEREx spacecraft, and then also.
The reason why X video is not great, guys, is because of Periscope. Yeah, they just took Periscope and made it X live streaming.
About 74 minutes
So,
after separation.
Yeah, it's going to take a second to get
again,
that
a
fixed.
really great time. We were so happy to be here with you,
Yeah.
Jesse.
Yeah, it was awesome. I will say it was awesome being with both of you, but thank you, Jesse, for having us.
I work with them all the time. So.
No, it's been so great having you both here. I've had so much fun
Pretty
on
ballsy,
this mission.
Baron.
And we'd also like to thank NASA
X
for
video,
their
not
trust
X
in
videos.
us and for being a frequent flyer with SpaceX.
What the hell's wrong with you
We'd
guys?
also like to thank the range and the FAA for their ongoing support of our missions. And we've got another busy year ahead of us, so check us out at SpaceX.com for up-to-date missions and schedules, and follow us at SpaceX on X for updates.
All right, thank you guys so much again for tuning in, and we'll toss it back to the hostess now.
Thank you so much. And we also have updates that will
No,
be coming
no,
in
Bill, no,
on
not that.
go.nasa.gov and blogs.nasa.gov/punch/blogs.nasa.gov/SPHEREx. And before we wrap things up, let's take one more look at tonight's Falcon 9 launch of SPHEREx and Punch.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Yeah, I don't know, Daniel. I don't know, dude.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9. Go
Score.
SpaceX, go SPHEREx, go
All right, so SPHEREx Punch, another NASA science mission on Falcon 9 in the books. Pretty good, man. Pretty good mission. Those views were amazing. They were quite good. Quite good. All right, guys. It's midnight. I'm going to bed. Uos, thank you very much for the raid, dude. Guys, if you're not going to Uos Lava follow, go and do it. Guys, pretty cool. Gave us a huge raid tonight. I appreciate it. Yeah. I'll see you guys tomorrow, noontime. I think we're going to play Timberborn tomorrow. But tomorrow's going to be a little bit of a weird schedule because we got Crew 10 tomorrow. So live coverage for a crew mission usually starts about 4 hours before the launch. So we're going to play a little bit of Timberborn, and then we're going to move right into crew coverage and go from there. GTA Racing this weekend. No, we have Sebring this weekend. Friday Night Racing in Assetto. So anyway, do you plan on doing any practice? No. I don't have time for that.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
MSF Web Dude, 4-month resub. Thank you. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the coverage. I will talk to you guys all tomorrow at noontime. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.